Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to our weekly Places in News. In this session, we are going to cover the important places that were in news over the last 1 week. That's between the 16th of May and the 22nd of May. This session is designed to help you get better at map reading, which can be very relevant for both prelims and mains. So if you're liking the initiative, do let us know by liking the videos, share the video with fellow aspirants, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So let's get started with the first region that was in news, which is the Sahel region. But first, the context. The Sahel region was in news because a country which is part of the region, known as Mali, has withdrawn from a group known as the G5 Sahel Force. So that is why the Sahel region was in news. So let's understand more about this region by taking a question and a relevant map. The question says, which amongst the following countries is not a part of the Sahel region? Is it Mauritania, or Nigeria, or Tanzania, or Eritrea? But first, let me show you a map and help you understand where is this region exactly located. See, the Sahel region is located in Africa. This is where the Sahel region is located. To its north, you have the Sahara region. To its south, we have the savanna grasslands. And to the west and east, it is bound by the Atlantic over here and the Red Sea over here. So this entire stretch of North Africa, all the way from the Atlantic Ocean to the Red Sea, sandwiched between the Sahara region and the Savannah region, is referred to as the Sahel region. This region encompasses various African countries like Senegal, parts of Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Niger, Chad, Sudan, parts of Eritrea, and even parts of Ethiopia. Whereas Tanzania, which has been given in the question, it's an East African country located much further away from the Sahel region. So clearly, if you go back to the question, we can say that amongst the given options, Mauritania, Nigeria, and Eritrea, they are clearly part of the Sahel region as you saw in the map. It's Tanzania which is not part of the region, and hence option C is the correct answer. But now you also need to know, what is this group known as the G5 Sahel Force? Why did Mali quit this grouping? And what is its impact? Even this is very relevant for your exams. See, this region we were talking about, the Sahel region, especially the western part of it, it is deeply affected by terrorism. There are various terror outfits that are very active over here. Groups like Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb, AQIM. It's a notorious terrorist outfit that's affiliated with the ideology of Al-Qaeda. This region, this part of Western Africa, is also referred to as the Maghreb region. And these terror groups like AQIM, they are seeking to establish an Islamic caliphate, and they refer to the Maghreb region as the Islamic Maghreb. So groups like AQIM and even terror groups like Boko Haram, they are very active in countries like Nigeria, Niger, Mali, Chad, etc. They've carried out many major terror attacks. Just few days back as well, there were major terror incidents in this region. So to combat the threat of terrorism and radicalism, some of these affected countries, they had formed a coalition called the G5 for Sahel region. This was formed in 2014. This coalition was even backed by the United Nations later. In fact, these countries, they even set up their own coalition security force known as the G5 Sahel Force, which was backed by the UN peacekeeping forces. It was even backed by France and its armed forces, because at one point, these countries you are seeing over here, they were all former French colonies. So these coalition troops, along with the G5 Sahel Force, they were combating terrorism and fighting back against AQIM, Boko Haram, and various other smaller terror factions that are operating in these countries. So G5 Sahel Force, which was established as a counter-terror force in 2017, it consisted of security troops from Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad. These countries of Sahel region, they were part of the G5 Sahel Force. Recently, Mali has quit this force, and this has dealt a severe blow for counter-terror operations in the region. because the exit of Mali from this grouping weakens the grouping itself, and it weakens the fight against terrorist outfits like the Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram. That is why the topic is important. The region, the Sahel region, the Maghreb region are very, very important for your exams. So please go back to the map, identify where this Sahel region is located, which countries in this part of Africa are part of the Sahel region. That is something you should know about. So that's why this question was taken up. And clearly Mauritania, Nigeria and Eritrea, they're all part of the Sahel region, whereas Tanzania is part of East Africa. So the correct answer to the question is option C. Now let's move to the second topic. Let's take a look at the second region, which is Thailand. But what's the context? At the capital of Thailand, in Bangkok, the Thomas Badminton Tournament was held recently, and the Indian men badminton squad registered a historic victory. This happens to be India's first ever victory at the Thomas Cup. So that's the reason why Thailand was in news, and it gives us an opportunity to talk about the geography and location of Thailand. So let's take a question and a relevant map and understand more about this. Which of the following statements are correct? Thailand is located between the Andaman Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. India shares maritime borders with Thailand. The Kra Isthmus is located in Thailand. But to answer the question, I need to show you the map of Thailand. Thailand, as you know, is a Southeast Asian country located over here. It is indeed sandwiched between the Andaman Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. Right? Basically, Thailand is located in Southeast Asia between Andaman Sea and Gulf of Thailand, and it is surrounded by countries such as Myanmar, Laos over here, Cambodia and Malaysia. Thailand also shares a maritime boundary with India in the Andaman Sea. That is, with the maritime boundaries formed by India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Along with that, you need to know that Thailand is where the Kra Isthmus, the Isthmus of Kra, that you can see over here, is located. An isthmus is basically a very narrow piece of land that is dividing two large water bodies. In this case, as you can see in the map, Thailand stretches out into a very narrow passage or a narrow corridor at the Isthmus of Kra and divides the Andaman Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. The Kra Isthmus is particularly important. It has great strategic significance because Thailand has a plan to build a canal over here, similar to the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal. China reportedly wants to take part in this project and include the strategic Isthmus of Kra Canal under its Belt and Road Initiative. Now this canal, if it is established, it will have great strategic value and significance because it will directly connect South China Sea with Bay of Bengal and further with the Indian Ocean region. This would allow the ships passing from here to bypass the Strait of Malacca that's located near Singapore and Indonesia, which happens to be a choke point. So that is why the Kra of Isthmus or the Isthmus Kra, it's a very important location, and the planned canal project has a lot of strategic significance. So with this understanding, if you take a look at these statements given in the question, you can easily say that all the three statements are correct, and hence option D is the right answer. Now let's take a look at the third region which was in news. We're going to talk about Russia's oil and gas reserves. Why? Because last week, a BRICS meeting took place. It was a meeting between the industry ministers of BRICS. During this meeting, Russian industry minister, he argued that the BRICS countries, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, they need to come together and set up joint oil and gas projects. He recommended that the BRICS countries need to become energy independent and reduce their dependency on the Western countries and the Western markets. Hence, the Russian minister said that BRICS nations, which are like-minded countries, should work together to set up joint oil and gas refineries. It's in this context that we need to be familiar with the major oil and gas reserves of Russia because there are direct interests at stake here for India. India has invested in some of Russia's oil and gas projects. India purchases a lot of oil and gas from Russia as well. It's in this context we need to be familiar about this topic. The question says, which of the following regions of Russia are known to hold significant reserves of oil and gas? Is it the Caspian Basin, the West Siberian Basin, or the Sakhalin Basin? Let me show you the map of Russia and help you understand where the major oil basins are located. See, Russia, without a doubt, is one of the top producers of oil and gas. It is even a member of OPEC Plus grouping, and it plays a significant role in influencing the global oil markets and oil prices. Now, with the Russia-Ukraine war, the production, supply and distribution of Russian oil has been hit because of Western economic sanctions. Russia has tried to bypass these sanctions. It has even offered oil and gas at a discounted price to buyers like India and China. It's in this context that you should be familiar with the major oil and gas reserves of Russia. The map is clearly explaining that the Caspian basin located over here has very significant reserves of oil and gas, followed by the West Siberian basin located over here. Along with this, even the Sakhalin region over here, over the Sakhalin Peninsula, also holds significant oil and gas reserves. Apart from these regions, we also have the East Siberian region, part of the Russian Far East. Then you also have the region around the Kuril Islands, which is disputed between Russia and Japan, the Timan-Pechora Basin. All these are major oil and gas reserves of Russia. So primarily, most of Russia's oil and gas is concentrated towards the Far East, towards the Arctic region, and also towards the Central Asian region, that is towards the Caspian Sea and the Caucasus region. So these are the major oil gas reserves of Russia, and clearly all three are correct, and hence option D is the correct answer. Now let's move on to the fourth region which was in news, that is Lumbini. Lumbini was in news because Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Lumbini in Nepal on the occasion of Buddha Purnima. He also inaugurated several key projects in Nepal. It's in this context that you need to be familiar with the location of Lumbini. The question says, Lumbini, the Buddhist pilgrimage site in Nepal, is located closest to the Siliguri corridor, or to Uttar Pradesh, or to Uttarakhand, or to Tibet. To answer such questions, you have to be familiar with the approximate location of these important places. So let me show you a map and explain where Lumbini is located. But first, I hope you know the significance of Lumbini. Lumbini is considered to be the birthplace of Lord Gautam Buddha. This is where the historic Maya Devi temple is located that you can see in this image. This is considered to be the birthplace of Lord Buddha. And Lumbini has also been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its cultural significance. This place is located over here, right along the India-Nepal border. Now from here, if you see where Siliguri corridor is located, it's quite far away. This is where the Siliguri corridor is located. The Siliguri corridor, or also known as India's chicken's neck, it's a narrow land corridor separating mainland India from northeast of India. It is sandwiched between the borders of Nepal and Bangladesh. So it's quite far away from Lumbini. Then you can also see that Lumbini is quite far away from Tibet and from Uttarakhand. So clearly it is the closest to Uttar Pradesh. This is the Terai belt, the Terai region where the Madhesi community can be found. India and Nepal share very close cultural ties in this belt, in the Terai belt. So that is where the Lumbini region is located. It's clearly closest to Uttar Pradesh. So the right answer would be option B. Lumbini, the famous Buddhist pilgrimage site, is located closest to Uttar Pradesh amongst the given options. Now, let's take a look at the last place which was in news, the Sela Pass and the Sela Tunnel. What is the context? The Border Roads Organization has completed the excavation for this strategic project and the final blasting was done last week. So BRO is nearing completion of this strategic project known as the Sela Tunnel that's located near the Sela Pass. So let's take a question on this topic and understand where this pass is located, what is its significance, and what is the importance of this tunnel project. The question says, which of the following statements are incorrect? Sela Pass is a high altitude mountain pass located on the Nepal border in the state of Uttarakhand. The strategic tunnel at Sela Pass is being built at an altitude of over 13,000 feet. You need to identify which of these statements are incorrect. But first, let me show you where the Sela Pass is located. The Sela Pass is located over here in Arunachal Pradesh, not in Uttarakhand. It is towards the China border, not towards the border with Nepal. The Sela Pass in Arunachal Pradesh, it is a high altitude mountain pass. It basically is located between the Tawang district and the West Kameng district of Arunachal Pradesh. At this strategic location along the India-China border, India's BRO, Border Roads Organization, has been building a strategic tunnel as part of the highway project over here. It's going to be a border road which will have a lot of strategic significance for the armed forces and as well as for the local population. Just last week, the BRO completed the last explosion as part of its excavation operations, and it has come one step closer to completing this strategic tunnel project. Once completed, it will reduce the travel time between West Kameng and the strategic Tawang district, which is claimed by China. In fact, China claims the whole of Arunachal Pradesh and refers to it as South Tibet. And especially at Tawang, China is seen to be very, very aggressive against India. So once the Sela Tunnel is completed near the Sela Pass, it will be one of the world's longest tunnels at this altitude. It is located at an altitude of more than 13,000 feet. It will reduce the distance between Assam and the China border as well. It will reduce the travel distance and travel time between West Kameng and the China border. So this will benefit the local economy and the local population, and more importantly, it will benefit the Indian Army for deploying its troops and equipment closer to the Chinese border. It will provide for all-weather connectivity throughout the year, even during the winter season, even when there is snowfall in the region. That is why the Sela Pass and the Sela Tunnel project are strategically very, very important for India. Because at Tawang, India and China, they constantly have a face-off. You can also see the Bomdila region over here. This entire stretch is a flashpoint for India-China with regard to their border dispute. So improving border infrastructure in such strategic areas is of great significance for India, and India has gotten one step closer to completing the Sela Tunnel project. So that is why the place was in news, and now you know where it is located. Coming back to the question, the first statement is clearly incorrect. It's not in Uttarakhand. It doesn't face the Nepal border. It's in Arunachal Pradesh in the West Kameng district facing the China border. However, the second statement is correct. The Sela Tunnel, which is a strategic tunnel at Sela Pass, it is being built at an altitude of more than 13,000 feet. So clearly, second statement is correct. So the right answer is option A, 1 only. Why? Because the question is asking you to identify the incorrect statement. So with this, we bring our discussion to an end. I hope the session has been helpful and fruitful. And if you found it to be interesting, do let us know by liking the video, share the video with fellow aspirants, share your comments as well, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.